If you want to do yourself a favor, rise at midnight or during the night for the midnight tikkun. This is the inner redemption from Egypt, because there were two aspects of the redemption of Egypt. It started at night for the inner journey, and then at daytime for the actual physical journey. So to recognize that every day a person has to be as if they are coming out of Mitzrayim. Every day is Pesach. And it really is. And you're coming out of Mitzrayim, and you're on a journey. And this journey is every day. And it's a 40-year journey. And you don't get to the destination. The journey is the lifetime. With the goal, the prize at the end as the lure, but you never get there. You see? It's the same thing that happens in a dog track when dogs run after a rabbit. They perpetually run after this rabbit, and then it automatically goes into some sort of tunnel, and they bark and they try to get him. And unfortunately, if there's a malfunction and the dogs find out that it's a mechanical rabbit, and they're able to see that it's a mechanical rabbit, they never race again. And unfortunately, you have to kill the dogs. And in a certain sense, isn't that what we are? We have to have this mechanical rabbit that we search after, some sort of redemption process, some promised land, that the Mashiach will come and save us. When we all live in a 40-year period, so to speak, from 20 to 60, as our physical lives, thinking that we have to tikkun olam, where, in a certain sense, this journey is the beauty of life itself and its redemption. It is redeemed. Your 40-year journey is pure bliss of anything you want to do. Coming out of Egypt, coming out of Mitzrayim, limitations, is just that, is to recognize that this so-called diaspora is actually Olam Haba. To live as a wanderer, to live without a permanent home. In my opinion, a Jew is not supposed to have a permanent home. Rent, don't buy. Don't accumulate possessions like an Egyptian tomb. 40 shirts, 30 pairs of shoes. That's a very deep issue here. In a certain sense, I've heard it said by a rabbi that I follow, that the fires in California come to show us this, to take our homes away, to take our homes away from people, to show them they are really homeless at the root. That our lives are in impermanent shelters, which is not much different than the concept of sukkahs. And that we live in a sukkah. So meditate on that for a while, that we are living in a sukkah. Our homes are temporary. We are wanderers. We have no homeland, as is evident right now. We are in the diaspora, and that's the beauty. And we should always be there until Mashiach comes. So there are certain people that believe this, you know. The Neturei Karta people. What's so big about having a homeland when it's not really true? Just to say you have a homeland? For me, the whole Jewish people come out of Pesach, and that's what I woke up with today. The word Pesach, because every night is Passover. Every meal is Passover. Every meal is Shabbos meal. Shabbos is to remind us of Pesach. And what's so special about Pesach, especially here, which we're still in Hanukkah when I'm doing this? It's because the word Pesach contains 3 letters, Pei, Samech, Het, which just so happens to be the 3 letters of Purim, for the Pei, Sukkah, Sukkos, for the Samech, and Hanukkah for the Het. And these 3 letters I wrote something down. Oh, save Hanukkah and Purim, saving us from desperate situations. I read that. You see, because there's a definite link between Hanukkah and Purim. You know, they come together. In the prayers, you say them. Hanukkah and Purim are Netzach and Hod. Well, they're an obvious link. And Sukkos. Sukkah is a link to these 40 years of wandering in the desert. When you had manna. You know, when you had clouds of glory like the Sukkos, Sukkah. When you had revelation of the 10 Commandments and of the Torah, all in this so-called journey. How beautiful. And in that journey, you had the golden calf, because the people grew impatient and they couldn't believe it. So the real deal is this 40-year journey, and that's what we have. It's a lifetime. The birth is coming out of Egypt. That's the 7th day. The coming out of the waters. That's the birth of the individual. And then we'll call that the 20th year when he becomes a man, he comes out, and then he has a productive life. That's not good enough for people. It's not good enough, the miracle of life, the miracle of a single day. Because as you know, I think each day is an entire lifetime. That by eternal reoccurrence occurs every day that you have. There's only one day. And then by eternal return of the same, that day comes again. So in this day we have Pesach, we have Shabbos, we have Purim, Sukkot, Hanukkah. Each day we're a candle for the world. I didn't make that up. Hanukkah is for 8 days, or my number is 16. But then a Jew is still a candle. I didn't make that one up. Jews supposed to bring light, be an example. Until we have a homeland, we're supposed to be homeless and goalless. Homeless and goalless. Sounds like a good phrase for a rock song. Homeless and goalless. I'm going to write something like that. Because that's an ultimate truth. Don't get too secure. And that's the Jewish opus. Don't get too comfortable. You see? Don't sleep in. If you want the inner redemption, you have to get up at night. The external redemption, get up in the daytime. Please remember that life wasn't like it is right now at all times. Before we had electric lights and computers and printing presses, if you wanted a book, you had to copy it over by hand. If you wanted a manuscript, you used to write it out, manuscript. To tell you the truth, I may believe still in writing if it was manuscript. But once this multiplicity comes in, this facility and easiness, a lot is lost. Some of the beautiful illumined manuscripts are art pieces in themselves, very different than a commercial book. And unfortunately, this is what's happening in the world as we get more people involved, which is a beautiful thing. We lose some of the ancient beauties, lose some of the art. Becomes a new type of art. No, it does. But some of the manuscripts are lost to the idea of the printing press, to the idea of the computer, to the idea of the phone. And so as we progress, we have to see that the blessing is the supposed golus. That's the blessing. The blessing was the 40 years in the desert. The blessing is struggle. Find the beauty in struggle. Kampf. Ask any musician when his favorite time of his life was. It was in his beginnings. You know? Ask tennis players when their favorite times were, their struggle and their coming up. They're starting off, you know, sharing a hotel room with 4 other people. I still remember a story of, it's 50 years ago, I think it was in Barcelona. I forget where it was. We came in at about 12 o'clock at night. This is tennis. And they didn't have enough rooms for us. And so 5 of us are in the lobby, and they said, a room's going to be available soon. You know, one of these large rooms, a lot of beds. And so we're waiting in the lobby. It's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I see a man being carried out in a body bag. He was dead. 20 minutes later, they had a room for us. So I go up to the room with these 4 other people, and I'm lying there like this in the bed or the couch. I don't know where. I was in the man's room that was dead, had been dead. And that's how I got a room. This is 45 years ago. Yeah, 45 years ago. I still remember the story, and these are the stories of your lifetime. You got your memories of your lifetime and coming up. You know, like a musician playing a gig or busking in the street. Those are the stories that one remembers, giving them soul, not living someplace in the Bel Air in a $45 million home. It just got freshly redone. And if you don't see the difference, then may I suggest, don't listen to my videos. Because you're wasting your time. And time is pretty precious when you only have one day. And in that day, you have to celebrate Pesach as Purim, Sukkot, and Hanukkah. And you have to raise up at midnight. And you have to do your prayers in the morning. And you have to do your tefillin. And you have to, there's not much time for work. Of course there isn't. Why? Because the work of a Jew is to oisek, b'toyri, mitzvot. Work in Torah and mitzvahs. Spend your time wisely. Stop fooling around and working as a wage slave. Believing in work in a perfect world. Enjoy the manna. Enjoy the sukkah. Enjoy the redemption of Purim, and what it signifies. What does Purim signify for women? The book of Esther, named after a woman. A holiday about women and their role. Think about that every day. Think about the concept of Purim and Esther now in this environment that we are in. In just the environment that we're in general, in the business community, and all the men being, let go because of confrontations with women. So always remember, this video has been done at night. Part of the inner redemption from Egypt as I prepare for the outer redemption that will take place in daylight. But you have to prepare for your day at night. And that's why the Jewish day starts at night. It's a preparation for the day to come, which is your only day. And since it's your only day, don't give up 1 minute of it for anything else than your own life and development.